before we'll know we're live. Actually, I need to get this monitor down here. Okay. None more of that silly flashiness.
Has someone gone to Geekdoma's channel and spammed that it's over here now?
No,
That's
it's
kind
a
of
good
where people are
idea.
going to be.
God damn.
I just loaded the double channel to see if
Yeah. Well, anyway, we are now live. Looks like all systems are go. I don't have the name tags up, but I don't think that should be a problem. Everybody should know us all by now, except maybe Snowman Wilkie, because he's usually a snowman. So,
what?
but, huh?
Yeah.
Now that the summer's starting to come and thaw out, you're actually able to be on the camera and not as a snowman. So, welcome to the show.
And for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Tobrin Ernwood. You can follow me on Twitter at Tobrin Ernwood.
My name is Lux 6 Time. I'm from England.
He's gonna marry Fulala before SOE Live.
Can't place your accent.
Yeah. I've been working on it for a while. It's really good, right?
I never heard it. When when I was on your stream going on about it, I went AFK for 2 minutes and
I know, and you missed it. It was it's just so good. It was so good. I was just so right on the money. You would have confused me for a local. You're like, neighbor?
The thing is, I'm glad that I missed it, because now in my mind it will always be exactly how I wanted it to be. It'll never be sullied by reality.
Yes.
So, Neuro, why have you gathered us all here today?
Yeah,
well, okay, so that's the first topic here, Into the Portal. So, Geekdomo normally hosts Into the Portal, and normally things are all fine and dandy, but apparently after Podcast Zero, something infected his computer, and now there's a serious zombie virus going on that he's got to take care of with some sort of reformatting. So unfortunately, he didn't learn about this until very recently, which is very tragic because he was just streaming. So that brings us here. Now we've got
RJH Jiggle corrupted his system.
Yes, RJH Jiggle. That's exactly right. So can't trust those jiggle physics.
Sorry, Era.
Yeah. So that's where we're at with everything. Oh, and the what are you drinking, Tobrin? Is that your Mountain Dew? Your liquid uranium or whatever?
Yeah, it's like antifreeze to me. Put it in your car.
Actually, it reminds me of some of the green Legos. The translucent green Legos. If you shine the light on some of them just right.
They're the ones that go bright green.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're amazing.
Those ones were awesome. I used to have a bunch of those.
I had a rainbow
I went
set.
for those. I had the classic Legos.
Anyway, so that's what's up with Into the Portal. We're still gonna do the show here.
Someone's just pointed out in chat that it says we're playing H1Z1.
What? I changed that. I changed that on my channel. It says Into the Portal.
It could be I missed it, but it could be someone that needs to refresh.
Dead Feature Rant. Tune in at 5 p.m. PDT.
Yeah, it's still.
All right. Give me
again.
just a moment. Everything's gonna look ugly here for a second. Perhaps.
Everyone,
I'm already used to it.
Stay calm. Do not panic.
Everybody panic!
This is what happens
Rabble,
on Twitch
rabble.
TV. Ara, you're not helping. Thanks for your contribution.
I've just realised I've run out of Jaffa cakes. I need to go on an emergency Jaffa run.
Tobin,
I will be
you
right
don't
back.
have the experience or maturity to deal with this problem. Can we all? Tobin's left. What's going on? Tobin's left. Ara's hysterical.
They're
Reese,
picking us
what
off
are you
one by
doing?
one. Don't you see what's happening here? It was Domo,
Hang on.
and then it was Yuri, and
Oh,
now
God.
it's Tobrin, and you're going.
Oh god.
Good.
Something's happening.
What's happening?
Oh.
I caught the Hizzy virus, but I'm better.
All right. Is it up to date now?
Okay, emergency over. I'm back. Okay, it's all good.
Oh,
It still
good.
says buying H1Z1. God damn it.
Mashing update
Dogs
with
and
Into the
cats
Portal
living
landmark.
together.
So
Mass hysteria.
I've definitely told Twitch what it's supposed to display, whether it's
I
going to do
just
it or not.
refreshed, and it went back from Into the Portal to Dead Future Man. I'm not lying.
Bastards. I'm just sitting. I'm literally sitting here mashing update with Into the Portal landmark. I guess it's just technological difference. That's okay. That's one of my favorite lines from the movie Idiocracy. Is because they're so stupid. Is I believe we're having some technological differences or something.
I love that movie so much.
It's so good.
So true. Yeah, it's so good.
Okay, so there's been a lot of cool.
Ladies and
stuff.
gentlemen, live streaming the future of interactive
Yeah.
gaming media.
You got it.
This is the
It's
future,
super
baby.
pro level.
Oh god, my pipe's breaking!
Oh.
Sorry. What's happening now?
Okay, so there's been all sorts of cool stuff. There's a new template interface. You can actually have the screenshot in it so you can know what the hell you're looking at before you do a template. It's got the number of props and the number of voxels listed too. Wilkie, what's going on with your webcam?
I am streaming from the past.
Okay, I was wondering. I kept looking over there. I wasn't sure if that was, something going on, or does
Don't
it
worry,
actually say
Living
Into the
in,
Portal
like, a
now?
Far Cry novel. Any minute, like any minute.
I
a
wouldn't
woman
know
in
if
a
it says Into the
dress
Portal
gonna
because I'm
walk
from
in
the past right now. The future me has been taken out by whatever got Domo in uni, so we're good.
Why aren't you talking like you're from the past? See? Meh.
I've got this translator program. It's fine.
Program? What's a program? You're from the 1930s. What
We
the
had
hell?
programs back then.
The hell are antibiotics anyway?
We had programs now.
Who the hell's Louis Pasteur?
From the moment she walked into the room, I knew she was in trouble. I could smell it on her perfume. I could see it all the way up those stems of the begonias she was carrying. My first clue to the case. I should
Well
be a
done.
noir crime, right?
Well done.
Yeah, that was good.
Okay, so yeah, new template
Serious
interface.
faces.
It's pretty cool. I
I think it's great. It's a really nice quality of life feature for building, obviously, and when people are going to want to manage like uploading stuff to the showcase as well as like their own personal thing, I think it makes sense. I mean, I don't know, like
Still want folders.
folders.
I
Yeah.
want folders. Yeah,
Yeah,
because like,
I want
like
folders.
'cause
Folders?
that- folders. Because that way you can like put like that way if you have a million different types of inlay, you can just have a folder of inlays. You don't have to put inlay in front of every single one so that it like appetite. I think that'd be nice.
Oh
Folders.
yeah, no, I definitely agree.
Yeah,
And then
that's-
also, when we start getting templates that we share from other people, being able to organize them by who you got them from and what build or project they're from, that'll definitely be crucial. Like even being able to rename right now would be nice, but folders definitely.
Yeah, like just having like right now I just have to put grabbed in front of every single thing that I've like grabbed from like a swap meet or someone has dropped it off, because I don't want to like think it's mine and be like, oh yeah, I don't remember when I made it, but and if someone asks like, oh that's great fits, I'd be like, you betcha.
It is a really good point actually that even though it's a great starting point, obviously I think when there's going to be people playing this game because they want to make money from selling these things and like making these templates and putting them on, I think there's going to be big demand for it to be more full featured, more easier to organize. I think is the big thing, isn't it? So yeah, excellent point. Excellent point.
Kind of like the friends list organization.
Yeah, I was going to say
Advertise.
exactly. But that's gonna
That'd be
that's
nice.
gonna come with the guild. Yeah, advertise.
I'm sure we'll see it. It's one
That'll
of
come
those
with
just
the
like,
guild
please.
stuff though, won't
Where to go?
it? Do so many times.
So, how do you folks feel about the gallery being part of the market interface? That the same place you go shopping is the same place you can go to see where the awesome builds are at.
I think it's
Doesn't
I
really
think it's a
bother
really
me.
good idea.
Yeah.
I think ultimately the integration of the two, at the moment they're kind of like separate, but if you sort of put Player Studio in the middle, it creates a nice kind of bridge between the two. And as well, I think like in a free to play game, you know, it's important, like, you know, it's not in the game interface and it's not everywhere, and it's not like, you know, on your building materials tab, it doesn't have that little SC button there, which I was really worried about when they first. I thought they were going to do that, but I think opening the menu and it just coming up on the showcase page. If you think in the future it's going to have featured items that were made by players as well, and you know, not made by Sony as well, I think that's a nice touch. And then just having to click that one tab to go over to the different thing, if you're not interested in spending any money, I think that's a fair trade for playing a free game, isn't it? For not having to spend any money on the game, you have to click a tab over when you open the showcase. I think, you know, compromise in it. Compromise.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still hoping that they don't add in, like, because there is still that phrase, I think they call it point of need, interface bits to get to the store, and I want to say at some point they specifically mentioned, like, you know, in your resources tab. I don't want to see it in my resources tab, but hopefully it stays the way it is.
I did. That was my immediate worry when I saw it. But it looks like, I mean, I think it's the type of thing they would have done already if they were going to do it. And I think with the fact that, you know, so much of their monetization strategy obviously revolves around the Player Studio stuff and players selling things to each other, that hopefully we won't see that. They've said they want to be the good guys. And I think if you hold them, I think another company that does free to play really well is Valve, and I think you kind of hold them, if you hold them to those kind of standards that Valve have with how they do free to play, I think you know, I think they'll be all right.
I think it looks good the way they put the gallery in with the marketplace, though, because down the line now they can link people's stuff on the player creation to their galleries. So when you go in the gallery and you go and look at stuff you like, and then, oh, so-and-so made it, did they actually make anything else and they're selling it? You can just click their name, go over, and it's all in one interface then.
One thing that I'd really like to see it also have is full build, location, and all that's for sale. Because that's something I'd really like to see, and actually I'm planning to do a little bit, is taking a nice section of mountain, hollowing it out, and then just putting the whole thing on the market, maybe with some amount of decoration and stuff on the inside. So that way, someone who really wants to do something like that but doesn't know how to hollow out the space, or wasn't able to claim a cool space like that without, you know, someone else kind of showing them where it was at, or finding it somewhere else, you know, they just don't have the time or whatever. That I think would be a really good way. And then, you know, that would be for a lot of other folks who have got really amazing builds, like if someone just has an amazing house that they've made and they just want to do unique pieces and sell them, and they sell it for 5,000 station cash or however much, and move on to the next project afterward.
Landmark real estate,
Yes.
pretty much.
Well, when
Flipping.
dynamic water comes along, it'll be a big deal. Like, people will be able to just claim things up and sell them for station cash just because there's dynamic water there.
I did think
But
that was,
isn't the idea that ultimately we'll be able to just make anything that's that is in the world anyway? I mean, there will be places that are more desirable, but what is desirable is so subjective. You know, like what one person would be desperate to have, like another person probably wouldn't be particularly bothered about, and you know, vice versa. So I think as long as there's enough space, as long as it's not like on every island there is one mountain. You know, if there was one mountaintop per island, obviously that'd be awful. You know, if there was one beachfront location per island, that'd be terrible. But I think ultimately there's enough space and there's enough capacity with the way that they're doing it as well, with just like the instance islands that you hop between. Like anytime it starts filling up too much, or anytime the market for buying claims, like SOE can watch it and go, oh, that's getting a bit out of control, we'll add a few. We'll add a few more. They'll be keeping tabs on population. No, I do want to bring up what Sango put in chat. Sango49 said about the upvote system. which I know we've talked about on this show before, but it's happening already, where on the showcase, like, things get upvoted, so they go to the top, and then because they're at the top, they get more upvotes. You know, and you end up the system like like the old Reddit system, where it was just whoever gets in there first or whoever has the most friends goes straight to the top, and there's no way, because the system can't work out percentages. But I've gone on about this before. I linked a thing on the Landmark forums about it that breaks down the mathematics of it.
I feel like 2 months ago we had a good 10-15 minutes on the subject.
Yeah.
So
But that was the thing, is like people disagree with me because they don't want to see like downvote trolling. But honestly, you know, I'd quite like to. I was thinking this week actually about maybe trying to do some upvote trolling, because I think it's early enough that if we all got together and just made a claim that had just like one dirt voxel in the middle of it and took a picture of it and said everyone upvote this. Like, imagine if like Arrow on a stream was like, I'm not doing anything until everyone upvotes this. That's like, you know,
that's a real minimalist kind of claim right there.
People or something. So what if,
Wait, Locke, are you talking about a claim that's actually on the ground? Or one that's up in the air and there's one voxel sitting in the very middle?
One voxel in like just the sand thing as well, just a flat, most featureless plane, like the most rubbish like desert environment we can find, and then just one single dirt voxel there. And I think honestly, like, okay, I am kind of joking. I think it would be funny, but I think it demonstrates my point that like you can upvote troll just as much as you can downvote troll. And I think it's a system that's not sophisticated enough to support what they want to do with Landmark, because I want to be able to find the best things as a player. You know, I'm probably not going to put much up there, if anything, but I want to be able to find the best stuff because I want to see it, and eventually I want to play the content that's in it. And if it's invisible to me, or if I have to go through like 10 pages of things with 2 or 3 votes, I'm like, does this have 2 votes because it's rubbish, or does it have, you know, have people just not seen it? There's no way you can tell.
I'll only upvote it if you call it the Dirt Farm. That's the only way you can get me to upvote that.
I think the tags will help somewhat, because like if you're looking for, if people are going to buy an entire claim, then that's what you're talking about is particularly going to come into play, you know. But if people are looking for, I really need a table to go with my thing, you know, like I just can't make a table, I hate tables, I'm going to buy one. All right, like table, and then possibly like castle or modern or whatever, you know, like, you know, some sort of, and then it'll filter it out enough that you probably aren't going to have that many, you know, like, well, probably would, but it'll water it, or it'll thin it out enough that I think you could kind of see, I don't know, that it wouldn't just be like
I think you're right. That definitely helps in being able to narrow it down. But I think, like we were saying about just putting folders in your templates thing, I think the system we've got at the moment, it works, you know, but we want it to be more sophisticated. We want the whole system to be more robust, and especially when money's involved, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be very dissatisfied with the way that it works out, because a lot of it comes down to marketing yourself. That's why I said, you know, people who have a following, people that are leaders of large guilds, people that stream a lot, you know, those are the people that are going to get all the upvotes. And once you're at the top, you stay at the top. And it's just the problem is all the stuff at the top is brilliant. I think it's great and I love it, but it ends up.
You want to see new stuff come to the top as well.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't want it to stagnate, and you don't want to see the same 10 names up there every week, because there's hundreds of people that are doing brilliant stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when I do Castles and Crapjacks, I know you want to speak, Ara, but I just want to say this real quick, is that I see so many awesome builds that have never gotten any exposure whatsoever. And then, you know, that's kind of why I really started doing the hashtag Castles Crapjacks, is so that people would finally be able to see, you know, these awesome builds that they may have never ever seen before and may never be able to see, because, you know, it might be gone by the time they actually find it and get there. Ara, please speak.
There were 2 things I was going to say. One is I almost hesitate to mention, because although I'm sure it's already occurred to somebody, which is, given that the game's going to be free to play, and so there's not really going to be much of a bar to entry in order to make a bunch of accounts. you could get all sorts of botting in terms of upvote botting.
Yeah.
For any sort of anyone who's serious enough, like really trying to make money, and then have money coming out, like that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I make a point really quick about someone in chat saying the upvote system doesn't matter much because they said they'll review all submissions? I'm not really worried about what SOE do with submissions. Like I'm not that bothered. Like they'll find good stuff if people want to submit stuff for EQ Next. Like, I hope that we get a lot of player stuff in. I hope we get a lot of stuff that's good enough to go in. What I'm thinking about is like when I play Landmark, how am I personally, when I sit down with my limited playtime, how am I going to find the best things that I want to do? Like the kind of content that I want. Like in a year's time, when hopefully we're at least in open beta, we might be at launch by that time. I want to run around with Toby and find like the best PvP things. I want to be able to like look for the new games people have come up with and find like really cool like emerging stuff from new people that might have not even started playing the game yet. It's very possible that it's almost likely that the best Landmark players aren't even playing the game yet. If you think about a kid now who's 13, has been playing Minecraft since it came out, and they've been looking at all the mods and stuff, and they wanted to do it, and they're learning about all that kind of things, and then suddenly this Landmark game comes around, and that's it starts taking up as this new thing, and now they've got a platform to like for all their new ideas and everything. That comes up like, it'll probably be like some kid who's not even playing it, and I want to be able to find the stuff that those people make. Because at the moment it wouldn't happen, would it? Because you just end up with stagnation at the top and anyone new coming in wouldn't have a chance. So that's my little rant about...
There's one other thing, though, is that a lot of what we're seeing, it's not just going to be people coming in and trying to come at it solo. It's going to be full-on communities coming in, doing either community builds or someone in their community is a really awesome builder. Either that community tries to prop them up, or even they'll buy from other people within their community because they know these people are awesome or whatever, or do some other. That's I guess the other thing that runs a risk of, though, is basically the black market transaction of, oh hey, you want to buy my claim? Awesome. Well, you send me the PayPal amount and then I'll give you the right. You can just copy it and paste it, and then I'll delete it. You can claim it and do all your stuff with it. So yeah, that's totally something that could be happening. But once again, I think that's going to be something that's going to be limited to closed communities. That there's going to be like Tobrin out there building like awesome castles and going, hey everybody, castle for sale. You just got to send me like 20,000 crates of Jaffa cakes, and I'll be like, bam, this castle is yours.
He's way cheaper than that, by the way, people in chat. If you do want Toby's castle, just like a couple in an envelope. Yeah, I think like the black market thing. It's the same with gold selling and stuff in other games, isn't it? Or like the Diablo 2 black market thing. And I think it's up to SOE to design the game in such a way that it's so much more convenient to do it through the game, and if you make it like beneficial, you make it safer, you make it faster, you give all the different interfaces and things. And remember, like a lot of it comes down to when people build stuff, if they sell it on and then it gets used to make something that is then sold on, then they get a cut of it as well. So it could almost be more beneficial or more profitable for someone to sell it through the game than through the black market. But I'm sure it'll happen. There'll be people that try and do it and try and make more profit than is possible than within the game. And this is why we can't have nice things.
Well, there's already a big infrastructure for the so-called black market. It's player auctions. And they have a fairly decent vetting process that it's not going to be like you're going to get ripped off, or someone's going to be able to pull scams. Because
I mean,
everyone has to get vetted through that. So
yeah,
I just think if you try and think of like why do people why has Netflix become so popular when it's so easy to pirate online?
Yeah.
You know, if you look at those two things, obviously pirating still happens, and I don't think it'll ever stop because I think some people just enjoy doing it. But at the same time, Netflix has become huge because they've offered a safe and secure and fast and good
And legal.
service and legal service that people want. You know, there's a lot of people like I wouldn't want to buy stuff on the black market just because. Partly because I'd be worried that my account would get hacked, or you know, I'd worry that it'd compromise like the security of it, and also because I'm not a tool. But in my opinion, but you know, at the same time, if they do it in game and they make it, you know, as Wilkie said, you know, they just make it easier to do in game than to go outside of the game, or more secure, safer. Yes, and beneficial to the seller as well. That's the big thing. Is you know, it's more beneficial to the seller in the official market than it is to go to the black to like try and sell things on the black market in the first place. You know.
Yeah,
So
because they're the ones. I mean,
players.
yeah.
Sorry, Eric, carry on.
It's just like, yeah. I mean, like that last bit. Like you're totally right, though. I mean, like in terms of if the buyers, you know, want to, you know, go off black market, it doesn't matter if the sellers aren't interested because they know they're going to get a better deal, you know, in the end with sort of the secondhand, you know, stuff, especially if you're making small stuff, which I think is going to be pretty successful just because of that, you know, because, you know, like you make an awesome chair because chairs are hard. Have you noticed that? They're hard because they're small to keep them in a relatively decent scale. Like,
you've got to use props. Props are really the way to help cheat a lot of the stuff with chairs.
But
and
then
we just need more pillows. Like we have those fancy red pillows and a few varieties, but just the red ones. We need like
yeah.
various.
But what if you don't want, you know, like what if you don't want like a plush chair? What if you want, you know, like this little? I'm just saying, more props. More props is always good.
Rocking chair. Hashtag Dave, please.
Yeah, hashtag Dave, please.
You know,
And it has to be interactable.
you know what I'm. You know what I'm totally not sick of hearing about that we should totally talk about now? Water. Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's exciting, isn't
That
it?
bull
That's
shape I really like because
I'm
that
just gonna
means
say that
there's
shading
going to be
was-
some really cool stuff from that.
Okay.
Like I guess the point where the water starts to kind of break in that like I guess parabolic shape and it kind of goes down like a wall. That should be really interesting because this is going to be like a bowl shape, so it's going to be like really, really interesting. See how they're going to do that, but the effect that it's going to create when you actually find it. And I hope they actually work with that and make that a thing, that you'll find caves that actually go into the kind of wall of water area. And then, you know, whether you take your chances to try to swim down there and find stuff or not.
Yeah.
Swimming should be interesting. We don't know. It doesn't seem like water is going to be interactable very much when they first put it in. Doesn't seem like
That
there's
was
going to be
something.
swimming or voxel replacement or location or whatever. It's just this solid non-voxel, non-prop mass that has a water property to it and waves on top.
That was one thing I wasn't clear on. I meant to rewatch that bit and I didn't. But that was one thing I wasn't clear on, was when I couldn't tell if they were saying that when it gets introduced to players, if it would be Jesus mode, or if it would be something like they were trying to get swimming
full
before. It was full Jesus mode when players get it. Because I couldn't tell if it was a thing of
they haven't done swimming yet.
that delay.
Greetings from the United Kingdom.
So yeah, I couldn't quite tell because I couldn't tell if they were saying that they were still trying, because they were saying they were still trying to get swimming, and I couldn't tell if they were trying to get swimming before they also introduced water to players. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, not really 100% sure. And all of that timing, of course, could change depending on how long it takes to actually get water implemented and all the features associated with it.
It's a weird thing, though, isn't it? Because
You're a weird
it's starting off. I am a weird thing.
But
I'm
I
a
definitely,
glorious accumulation of chance.
I definitely agree with
glorious.
you that it's it's really interesting the way they're implementing.
Well,
The
they're doing
delay
it
is-
as they can, aren't they? Like starts off. They're starting off with the simplest system that they can. And it's a weird thing that like people are so fixated on it. Like it's this strange thing that it's almost become like this self-perpetuating cycle that people ask about it, so they hear this kind of, oh, it'll be soon, we're working on it, and then they hear that response, so then they ask again, so then they ask again and ask again and ask again. And it's so weird. It's like, yes, it's being implemented as like a cosmetic feature. You'll be able to have like a beachfront property or an island if you're really lucky. That could be some valuable real estate if you want to sell it on the black market. But you know, ultimately, people want dynamic water because they want to be able to do interesting things with it. And it's strange that there are so many systems that are being implemented into this game that we also know about, and we also know they're coming, that we'll be able to do interesting things with our claims with. But I just find it strange that there's this fixation on this like one relatively small aspect of the game. Like when you think they say that like we'll be able to like place NPCs and like program them with AIs with an AI system that we can interact with, and people go, oh yeah, that's cool. Can I make a house on the beach? You know, when I make a boat, can it be sitting in water when I take a photo of it? It's like,
Can
I think
sail
what it-
around?
that's strange. I know it's subjective, but that's strange to me.
It is. I have noticed the same thing where it's sort of like, well, but it's one thing where there's so many things that are all, you know, and obviously they have to, you know, prioritize some at some point and just be like, well, this is first, then this and this, you know. But I think what it also is just that like it's something that you like if you run around and you're like in tundra and then you get to the beach and then you're like, like it looks like something's missing. It looks like that's not the way it's supposed to be, and so you kind of notice it missing. Versus like with AI, we don't have NPCs, so you don't notice it missing. You know, like it's one of those like, you know what I mean? It's just more conspicuous, I guess.
It's true, and I suppose as well because so many people think of Landmark as a building game still, like just a building game. Then like I think the value of aesthetic things is very kind of heightened because people are very concerned with how their claim looks at the moment. You know, that'll probably change in the future, but.
Yeah, exactly. Because right now the feature set is I mean, obviously at some point it's going to become a much more diversified end game. You know, end game can be one of a million things when we get all the things that we know are coming. But right now, it's kind of building, and there's not as much. You can say, well, crafting, trying to get the better pick. You can say the progression, but I mean, like, the building is kind of it in terms of the feature set right now. And so, well, water's a key building feature. So it's one of the it's just more immediate.
You reminded me of something I actually kind of wanted
I can't
to.
help but feel like you're doing an impression of me when you go end game. Such a me thing to do.
You reminded me of something there that I
cool.
kind of wanted to talk about, which was with end game on items, like some things don't necessarily make sense. Like what does Discovery actually do on axes, for example? Does it actually do anything? Because it seems like there's finite amounts of wood that you're going to get from every tree. So
well, there's always a chance of the drop of the rare wood, isn't there? So I guess it increases that chance.
It does.
Well, you can get two of the rare.
No, it's always at set intervals. It's either you'll get one at 50% and one at full, or you'll get one at 25, 50, 30, 75 in full, or you'll get one at 33, 66 in full. There's specific intervals. I've watched it. Every tree follows these rules, and it doesn't appear that Discovery increases the amount of special heartwood that you get off of it. So that's something I'm wondering about, is if Discovery will have a purpose with axes, or if we're going to see things like that just because in the current beta state of enchants being on items that don't necessarily mean anything for the item, and when I guess that stuff is going to be sorted out, if that'll be cleaned up later on when the imbuing system comes in, or something else will come along and deal with that sort of stuff. 'Cause it seems like something that could potentially retroactively change on items, especially now that they've got this new item system in rather than the legacy system. So they've probably prepared for the enchantments on these items actually being able to get changed out. But what do you folks think? Do you think it's just something that's happening in beta and it'll get sorted out?
I mean, that's always possible. I want. Does discovery affect how much, like, what? Not how much you get per chop. Not like. Could it affect, instead of, okay, so we know that trees have HP, and depending on your damage, you'll take a larger chunk out of HP. Right? But could it be that you actually end up getting more wood than you would have gotten with discovery? 'Cause that's
Discovery was
hard
supposed to
test.
be a stat that increased the uncommon or rare materials you got that would normally appear in your normal gathering process.
Right.
And
but since-
so
Back
But
back in the
Hardwood doesn't
Burled
follow
Wood
that
days,
rule.
back in the Burled Wood days, you needed discovery because
Yeah.
that was the only way to get it. But now that the system's completely changed and you get everything at very finite points on the tree, depending on the type of tree, discovery really doesn't have a purpose. So it might
That's
just
a
be an
really-
oversight.
That's what I'm just wondering, if it might be serving a different purpose with, that it might be actually affecting the wood drop. I don't know.
I don't know. Hey, Felgun, I saw you
That's
lurking
right.
around in here. Do you have an answer on this one?
wait 30 seconds for him to actually hear us.
Yep. 30 seconds to 2
It seems like
minutes.
it seems like a strange system if there's like different percentage variations, like tree by tree. I'm sure they're going for something, but I suppose it comes down to, do we want a crafting system that allows any stat to be on any item, or do we want a crafting system that only allows valuable stats on certain items?
Felgun says he
You know?
has no clue. So, okay, all right, we're making some progress here, everybody. Closed beta, we're doing the thing. We're being a part of the dev team here,
Yeah.
asking the hard
So
questions.
do we know with the final crafting system, when you make something for the first, because at the moment, like, you make it and it either has the stat or it doesn't it? But when all the different parts of the crafting system are in, are we going to be able to, like, what are the different things? There's upgrading at the moment, and then there's like refining, and there's another.
Okay,
I've forgotten all
there's upgrading, there's imbuing, which is going to be changing the enchant. There's going to be reinforcing.
I feel like I'm going to get a very detailed explanation that I don't really want. right now.
Reinforcing, from what I understand, is the potentially being able to bring the range of stats up to the top end of that range, and being able to maybe go from 2, 3, 4 all the way up to 5 upgrade enhancement slots on it. And then the other one is salvaging, which is you need to get materials back. You've made a whole bunch of crappy duds, so you just want to recover the materials. Salvage them.
So, does that mean when we craft something for the first time, will we have a way of basically saying, I want this item to have discovery on it, or I want it to have a different extra stat on it, or is it just luck of the draw, and if we don't get the stat that we want, it's like, okay, salvage, do it again?
The basic crafting
Because to me, like,
is
just
luck
being
of the
like,
draw.
oh my god, this axe is brilliant, but it has discovery on it. Oh well, salvage. That's, to me, that's too much
Yeah.
RNG.
Well, that's
Whereas if I can have stuff to then use a process in the crafting process that I can go, I want discovery on this pick, and it comes in, it goes discovery, and I go, way, but it's 8 discovery, and I know there's a maximum of 12 discovery. So then it becomes like an opportunity cost thing with an element of RNG, rather than just being full. You either want it or you don't.
Well, there might be, once we learn a little bit more, it might be that you've got something that only has 3 upgrade slots on it and doesn't have a specific enchant, but all of the stat ranges for it are towards the top end. So you might not need as much enhancement to get them to their maximums. Meanwhile, you'd potentially be able to use the other systems later on, the imbuing and the reinforcing, to potentially increase your upgrade slots and get the specific enchant you do want on it. So it might be something where if it comes out just a real piece of crap, low stats, 2 enchantment slot or 2 upgrade slots rather, no enchantment, yeah, that's probably going to be salvage fodder. But if it's got at least 4 slots and some decent enchantment or something, it's probably worth keeping, and you can get up to 5 later. I decided to go with a 4 because I got a really good the crushing enchant and a 4 slot on my pick. So I spent all of last night getting that all worked up, and it's a beast now. It's basically like a mini pulverizer, but I get to keep everything.
Nice.
Sweet.
One thing I did love is just like when we were kind of like I was talking with some people when we were watching the reveal of the crafting system, and we like the thing we all kind of said was like, now we're starting to feel like an MMO. Like this is, like they kept saying, it's an MMO, it's an MMO, and so far the feature set hasn't quite. We're like, yeah, but is it though? And so now it's sort of like that's MMO crafting right there. Like what that we're getting it now. Like we're starting to see those features that kind of bring us into that category.
You know what I love? You know what I love? you get the best stuff out of the worst stuff. Dirt and Stone. Anyone who's just started the game with their one drop, like if you're lucky you could have one drop within the first 10 minutes of playing, which to me means on day one of playing the game you can be useful to people that have been playing for a year. And I love that. That was really like one of the major things. Like when they said, it is an MMO. That was a sandbox MMO. That's one of the things that I thought, for me personally, is I think it's so important for a game like this, just because it really it brings people together. And when you get new people coming into a free to play game, and you immediately, even if they only play for an hour, they're immediately useful to those veteran players, and you can start making those connections. And veteran players want to make those connections with new players.
Sorry guys,
Sorry,
I think
Ara.
the stream might be down.
Weird.
I made such a good point.
Not on my
I
end.
was just like,
Video.
I don't want to. I hate to interrupt, but
Okay.
No, it's all right.
I guess stop it and start it back up, or
Video
should I
and boom.
leave it going and let it ride? What's the best way to resolve this usually?
I'm on a 20-second ad, so I guess I can't. I refreshed. I didn't know.
Yeah, it's still saying failed to show. Because OBS is still running.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting the 25-second ad too.
It's not working. It says we're live, but we're not live.
Switch fell over.
Yeah.
Okay.
So while we're not live, well, the only thing I have issue with their current crafting system is what's going to happen 3 years down the line when everybody's got a new pick, and the only person that needs a new pick is the person that just joined the game.
That's a very good point.
It depends on the
Because
rate by
if-
which new people are